In 1968, Marion, Josefina, and Jose moved back to the United States, first settling in Panama City, Florida. Josefina began her job search, eventually landing a position in Macon, Georgia, working in a laboratory making igniters for bombs. During this period, Marion attended school to learn computer programming with the original computers that read punch cards. With these new skills, Marion then taught computer programming for several years. In 1969, Marion and Josefina had a baby, Ruby Michelle Denton. With this new addition to the family, Josefina decided working with bombs was a little too dangerous, so once again she went on the job hunt and found work in Milledgeville, Georgia, for McGaw Laboratories. With the move to Milledgeville, Marion started a trucking and excavation business, and for the rest of his working years was self-employed, either trucking or excavating. Some of the trucking work was long distance, carrying him all over the United States, and some trucking was local, where he was able to be home every night. Throughout his adult life, Marion had been plagued by reoccurring stomach aches. In 1970, these stomach aches were diagnosed to be an ulcer. The result was that he had to have half of his stomach removed. Marion firmly grasped the idea that these ulcers were caused by stress, and afterwards always said that such problems come not from what you're eating, but from what's eating you. From this experience, he worked hard throughout the remainder of his life to change his attitude, to let things go, to laugh at himself and his silly problems, and to recognize that he couldn't change other people's behavior. And he never hesitated to give the "it's what's eating you" advice to anyone he felt could use it. Marion and family would travel to Kentucky at least twice a year to visit Marion's family. He thoroughly enjoyed these road trips and loved visiting his father and siblings. He usually brought along big bags of pecans, plentiful in Milledgeville, along with him as gifts. Marion also bought a van that enabled the family to travel to Mexico City so that Josefina could visit her mother and siblings as well. These 1,900-mile road trips could be long and tedious, taking approximately 4 days of driving each way. But they did allow the family to see a lot of beautiful country and stop at numerous historic, interesting spots along the way. On at least one trip to Mexico, Marion dropped Josefina off with her family in Mexico City and proceeded to load all the nieces and all the nephews into the van, only to drive another 500 miles to spend a week at the beach in Acapulco. In 1974, back in Georgia, Marion attended an auction for lots on a recently completed man-made lake near Milledgeville, Lake St. Clair. Marion bought several of these lots at the auction. He then proceeded to put a mobile home on the lake in order to allow the family to spend weekends there. The lake was such a wonderful place that it didn't take much prodding for the family to decide to move there to live full-time. The first few years at the lake, there were no houses, no neighbors, and only a lonely gravel road to allow the family to get in and out. As development continued and more people started moving to the lake, Marion installed 3 water wells and ran water lines to serve approximately 15 homes in the area. He also used his tractor to grade everyone's driveway, as the dirt roads in the area would otherwise become impassable with ruts and potholes. Marion's love of water boats was ever apparent in the family's new location. He bought power boats, a small sunfish sailboat, and numerous canoes and watercraft so that the family and others could enjoy the lake. Their lakefront community had a division of labor among the neighbors. One father was responsible for fishing and would supply the fish at every Saturday evening neighborhood get-together, while another father was responsible for the fish fry and all the sides. And Marion's job was to take all the neighborhood kids water skiing from dawn to dusk. He taught dozens of neighborhood kids how to ski, and somehow kept all of them from drowning. Marion also later bought several larger boats and taught himself and Michelle to sail. Moving to the lake allowed Marion to resume the vegetable gardening he loved so much from his youth. Every year, his garden grew in size, producing more vegetables than one family could eat. As a result, Marion would carry around bushels of goodies and would give away produce to anyone willing to take it. He also planted dozens of fruit and pecan trees that continue to bear fruit to this day. In 1975, an accident crushed Marion's ribs and arm when a house addition rolled onto him. He used the 3 months out of work to teach preschool-aged Michelle to read, count, and write. As a result, Michelle's first-grade teacher wanted to send her to the 3rd grade, but Marion and Josephina wisely decided to keep her with kids her own age. Michelle loved spending time with her father, and on weekends would opt to tag along with Marion in whatever he was doing. She was his shadow, and so Marion would put her to work. It didn't matter if the work was hay baling, driving tractors, digging ditches, grading drives, or repairing rental property. Michelle helped however she could, and as a result, picked up the can-do attitude of her father. In 1978, Marion and Josephina decided to build a house at the lake from a modular home kit. Marion worked weekends to build the basement and finish the interior of the house. He built seawalls, sprinkler systems, and wraparound porches. The original mobile home became the first of many added to that lot, eventually creating a mobile home park. The supplemental income from this mobile home park helped out a lot and provided Marion with plenty of work to keep him busy. During this time, Josephina witnessed a healing miracle that quickly transformed into regularly attending church services. Marion soon caught the same passion for Christianity and got very involved in church. This then became a central component of the rest of his life. It included starting many ministries, including a summer vacation Bible school. Marion bought an old school bus and would drive it around the poor parts of Putnam County, picking up rural kids and taking them to vacation Bible school. Marion and Josephina also started ministries in nursing homes, jails, and prisons around the area. His prison ministry continued for 14 years, only ending when Marion left Georgia to come closer to his daughter in Colorado. Marion and Josephina were instrumental in starting or building a few churches in Milledgeville and Eatonton, Georgia. He also applied his handy skills by going to missions in foreign countries, building outhouses, schools, or whatever needed to be done. Marion would often run across homeless or down-and-out people and would always extend a helping hand. He was tireless in helping people get back on their feet, sometimes even providing them with housing at the trailer park if necessary. Josephina retired from McGaw in 1986, when they consolidated operations to a facility in California. Not one to be idle in retirement, she soon bought a small, struggling Christian bookstore in Milledgeville and began growing it into a successful business. Marion remodeled the building and helped with every expansion. In 1990, Marion and Josephina moved to a different neighborhood on the lake, and the beautiful yellow Victorian house was their home until they moved to Colorado in 2007 and 2008. Marion retired from trucking in the early 90s, but he stayed busier than ever with the rental property, his church ministries, and seasonal gardening.